Move on to the approval of the minutes of the July 19th, 2025 board meeting. Last month was our annual meeting, so we don't have those minutes.
The only, I do have a minor
Okay.
correction
What do you have?
on the Jefferson County report was, it's not the pay that.
Okay, hold on. Let me get to where you're at here.
Yep. I'm sorry, I don't have it in
What
front of me.
page are you on?
I committed it to memory.
It's okay, at the top of the back of the first page.
Was that this, it says this will help improve staffing for this. It's just, it pays for the staffing. So what that just means is that's no longer coming out of your tax revenue.
So we want to cross out help improve and insert pay?
Yeah, it'll help pay staffing. Because
Help pay.
improve makes it sound like they're getting additional staff.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine. That's why we're doing it. That's why we do this.
It allows them to actually pay their staff.
Okay. Is there any other corrections? Oh, okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the help pay added language to Article, what is it, 6?
Second.
Okay, there's a second. Meg, any other discussion on the minutes?
I will abstain since I wasn't present.
Okay, you'll abstain because you weren't present?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
And who approved and seconded?
Jimmy approved, Meg Turville Heights seconded.
Yep, and Laura's going to abstain. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll go on to Treasurer's Report. Welcome, Steve.
Thank
Steve's
you.
first report.
Yeah.
Everybody's been helping Steve and Leanna and myself, Debbie, so.
Yeah, it's a task, that's for sure. So we have two reports here because we did not do one last month because of the annual meeting. So the first one will be for July. And you can see the receipts for July is $66,908.65. And there's various lines there of what the money was that accounted for those receipts. Total disbursements were $29,893.21. And in the checking account, we had $221,873.85. So we had two CDs. First one, 108,821.78, and $57,398.30, and $50,035.07 in the savings. So for the disbursements, the second page shows all the detailed disbursements for the month. I don't think there's anything that
Do you not have them?
sticks out,
No.
but if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them best I
These
can.
are the disbursements.
Okay.
With the Enbridge water samples at 6,000, are we being reimbursed for that, or is that coming out of our account? $6,188?
No, I believe we're reimbursed for that, right?
That is correct.
So.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions on the July
On
report?
July. And we'll move on to August, which is a little more interesting. In Au-
Let's
Do we need to approve it?
approve the July report.
Okay, you want to do one at a time?
Let's approve the July.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the July report.
So moved.
Okay, there's a
Second.
second. Any other
Laura.
discussion on July? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you, everyone. Let's go on to August.
All right, so August is a little more interesting, as you guys can see. Receipts for the month is $286,194.13. And again, the receipts are total down there. You can see that what we've done is we cashed in the CDs. So the CDs are no longer listed on the investment account down below. The disbursements were $326,345.75, which left $182,379.94 in the checking account. So if you go to the detailed report, you'll see that midway down, you'll see a check for on 8/28 for, I guess is it
Bronson.
Brabazin?
Yeah.
Brabazin title for $304,215,000. And I think I'll let Jimmy talk to what that was for.
Yep, we have, that was the purchase of a property of land that we were able to close on, and I'll go into more detail further in the agenda on that.
And then once again, I think the disbursement, the other disbursements for the month are just our typical disbursements they have. There's nothing unusual on there. So if there's any questions, and if you guys have any questions when you take a look at this, you can always email me and I can look it up and explain to you what those were.
Yeah, we had a donation come in.
Yes,
That
I'm
was
sorry.
awesome.
I'm sorry. I should say that. Yeah,
Yep.
we had a $5,000 anonymous donation, which was very nice.
Yep, very nice. Thank you for that. Any other
Who's-
questions of the August report?
Who gave the donation?
It was an anonymous.
Anonymous.
It was
donation.
anonymous, okay.
Any other questions?
I'd make a motion to accept it.
Okay, Doug's made a motion to accept the August financials. Is there a second?
Second.
Laura Payne.
Laura?
Yeah.
Okay. Any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, okay.
Good
thank
job,
you.
Steve.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Steve? All right, thanks, Steve. Thanks for helping with all that. Again, this has been a work in progress.
Oh, yeah, it's
Doing
going
the
to continue to
transfer.
be a work in
Yep,
progress.
and we're going to continue working on it. I know Leanna's been doing a lot of work, and Debbie's also helping with transition, so.
Yeah, Leanna, thank you very much. You've been,
Of course.
especially as we're converting to an online accounting system, which is going to make a lot of the manual stuff go away. So we're going to be able to just push a button and print reports, and everything will be up to date as it's happening, as opposed to once it's all done at the end of the month, which will help Leanna knowing what money we have left to spend in what accounts, so.
Yeah, it'll actually hopefully show in real time the drawdown or additional to any of the accounts that we have, so.
Right.
It's been a big work in progress, so give us a little time and we'll all get there.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
Exactly. Well, that's all part of it, right?
That's, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Again, thank you for all that help, everyone. We'll move on to Town of Oakland Representative Laura Payne's
Oh,
report.
good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I have a few items. The town board approved the purchase of new brine equipment to be used during the winter storms. Under certain circumstances, a salt solution can be sprayed directly onto the road prior to the storm to prevent the icing of the roads. And this has become a much more popular technique, widely used now in Jefferson County and other parts of the state, and I'm sure in other states as well. Last year we had tested a smaller area around the lake and found it to be quite effective. So we will be purchasing larger equipment to handle a larger area around the lake. We may still need to use rock salt at times. Under certain circumstances, that's a better way to go. However, the brine will help lower our salt consumption and therefore our cost to purchasing salt. And for this group, it will really help reduce the salt runoff into the lake and help improve the health of the lake. So we're very excited that we'll be using that this year. And then regarding Enbridge, they conducted their third quarter sampling around to private wells within the half-mile radius. They sampled the stream and the groundwater monitoring wells. And that was done in late August and early September. Leanna can speak later to her sampling of the stream. But Enbridge's analytical test results have not been submitted to the DNR yet, but is expected soon. And I will closely monitor the website and review the data when posted. They continued to collect the crude oil from the riser pipes near the spill location on a weekly basis. And to date, the total amount of oil recovered is 548 gallons or 13 barrels. So they're coming along with that. It doesn't seem, sometimes it starts to slow down, and it has in some of the wells, but they will be continuing to do that. Enbridge has informed me and Leanna that the SVE, the soil vapor extraction pilot test, is scheduled for the week of September 29th. And then after that is completed, and if successful, a full-scale SVE system design will be submitted to the DNR for approval and then constructed to reduce the remaining oil on site. I also spoke with Caroline Rice, the DNR project manager, last week. And at this time, Enbridge is properly following their site investigation plan, so there's really no concerns about how they are proceeding with all their activities. Did anyone have any questions about that? Or? No? Okay. So our final one, I believe Jimmy mentioned in July when I was not here. Sorry I missed it, I was on vacation. But we are planning a new boat launch, our public boat launch. And we expect to have our engineer provide 2 potential plans at our October or November meeting. They're going to be taking a survey and then coming up with a couple plans and presenting it to us. And Leanne and anyone else will have an opportunity to weigh in on that. And we will be submitting grant applications to help pay for the engineering design and construction. And I'll keep you posted, but it looks like there's a good chance that we could get this paid for, so that would be really great. And just one last comment. We are looking for applications from the town for the planning committee. We have 2 open seats that the term will start January 1st, 2026, and it'll be a 2-year term. If you know anyone who's interested, they can contact our clerk, Susan DiCento, directly, or you can call me with any questions you have. And they need to be submitted by December 1st. It's just simple, just saying that you're interested. And we will make decisions at our December meeting, and they meet the first Tuesday of the month.
Thank you for that, Laura.
Thank you. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Was there any progress in adding a sign about the artificial wake enhancement at the marina?
Jimmy and I talked about that. Did you ever get a chance to go over to the marina and talk to?
I've spoken with Mike in the past, but not lately, and he's never had an issue with it, so it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
will the town pay for it and put
Yes,
it up?
I talked to Jeff, and we can put that sign up. It just as long as he agrees, if you don't mind talking to
Yeah.
him, and as soon as he says, okay, I'll have Jeff go down there. He
I
said
don't
there wasn't a
remember if we
problem.
brought that up last time we were down there speaking with him, but I can reaffirm that.
Right.
Okay.
And then we'll go down and,
I keep getting people reaching out and saying, hey, they're surfing again, so.
we are looking into that with our boat patrol. So they have made some progress on that.
Well, they know when they're not there, because that's when they're doing it.
Right.
So, and I don't know
And
what-
there
what
was
else we
videos
do.
of a couple of boats
Yeah.
that were submitted, and those were checked into.
Yes.
And they did not have ballast on the boat.
And surfing behind it?
I don't know if they were surfing, but they were certainly skiing. But I saw the videos, and I thought, the wake was substantial, and those boats were found not to have artificial
Wake enhancement?
wake
Right,
enhancements on
right.
them,
I talked to Armando, one of our boat patrol
which surprised me,
officers.
too.
Well, you can make a wake just by how you position your motor too, so.
Sure.
It's
See,
artificial wake enhancement. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a wake boat if you're making an inappropriately large wake. Is that
Well,
correct?
Well, if there's added devices or options put on the boat to create that artificial wake, then you can't do that.
Okay.
That might not be a wake boat. I mean, a wake boat typically is identified as being one that has a ballast in the back with these additional add-ons. So I guess you could have any combination of that on a different boat and still create an artificial wake.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that have a ski boat with ballast. It's not a wake boat, but
Right,
it's
but it has a ballast, and if
yes,
they're using that.
and they don't use that, but.
Right.
Yeah, Armando did check to see if they had put that ballast on the boat, because it can be retroactively put in there, and they didn't have that. And he did mention that they are repositioning the motor in order to get that. But we can look into it more thoroughly, unless Jimmy and Leanna know already. I don't know if that's in the ordinance to prevent that from happening.
Well,
Any
I don't
any artificial or any additional device that's added to the boat.
Well,
But
what
it's
about the
not added.
repositioning?
Yeah.
but
Reposition
even if they
ballast.
reposition the motor with the wake boats, they're sending jets down to
Right.
the bottom, so I don't think it.
You
I think
cannot
it's a different-
employ any device on your boat to create an artificial wake. That's how the ordinance reads.
Right.
So,
That's the employing any device, doesn't mean, is the motor considered employing a device?
no, the motor would not be. There are specific definitions within that ordinance that you should pull from, and that's what you should be comparing it to.
Well, what we probably should do at some point is sit down, me and you, with Armando, because I was on the lake when when the boat that we're probably talking about went by, and we should probably sit down and have a review with Armando.
I'd recommend with the chief, Chief Leonard,
Or the
Yes,
chief on it.
we can.
so she can disperse that information to all of her
Yes.
officers and
Yes,
not
we
just
can
one.
do that. I will review the ordinance. If I have any questions about the language, I will speak to our attorney for a clarification.
Yeah.
And then you and I can decide when it's convenient for us to meet with Chief Leonard.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll take care of that.
And one of our boat patrol officers was supposed to be here today, and I think he might be in his office. Would you like me to go see
I
if
could do
Jim's
that.
here and see if he can
I'll go
speak
do
to
that.
it? Thanks, Laura. I did see him.
But yeah, we are getting reports, and that's good, when the boats are out there and people believe there is an artificial wake, because I've gotten a couple, I got a video just this week on one, and it's the same boat that we're all seeing, I think, so.
And to your point, it's in the evening hours. So
Yep,
Yeah.
it was in the evening, and I forwarded that to
Past
Vanessa.
7 o'clock?
No,
No.
no, no, no.
Okay.
Past the time where the police are up patrolling the lake.
But the motor being angled is not really a threat to the bottom of the lake, not like a wake boat, so, I mean, I
It is
think
different.
if someone was ticketed, they could have a very strong argument to say it's just a speedboat with angling the motor, so.
Hello, how are you?
Uh-oh.
You're in front row, I guess you got summons to the
Did you
front row.
prepare your presentation?
Holy
Yes, I
cow,
did.
that
And
was
it's going to be
quick.
very short.
Okay.
That's all right.
It's okay if you don't.
Why don't you give us your name, please, and then we'll,
First name is James, last name is Jekanuski. It's spelled Jekanoski.
all right, thank you, James. What can you tell us about wake boat activity on Lake Ripley?
We actually had 2 complaints this year. One of the gentlemen, ironically, we ran into at the Quick Trip with the boat that was brought to our attention, and is absolutely not a wake boat. It is way too small, and it's more along the lines of, if you're familiar with, like they call them a cigarette boat, or sometimes a go-fast boat. It's styled very similarly. It's very low in the water, so there's absolutely no way that that boat could specifically be a wake boat. There was a conversation that we had a little bit earlier this week amongst ourselves. One of the officers received a video.
Yeah, I sent that to
Yeah,
Vanessa.
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
We discussed that video, and we were all in agreement that that is also not a wake boat, due to the fact that the stern of the boat was not low enough in the water. Typically, the front end is rather high, and the back end of the boat, the stern, would almost appear that it would be at water level. And then in addition to that, the wake dissipated rather quickly in the video, which again led us to believe that that boat itself is also not a wake boat.
Or is it possible it could be a wake boat, it just didn't have its ballasts full at the time?
It is possible,
Because I
yes.
believe that was a wake boat, it just
Okay.
didn't have the ballast full, it looked like, and I agree with your assessment on that video. It didn't look like the wake was being
Yeah.
created as a wake boat normally would.
Yes.
But yeah, no, thank you for reviewing that, because we have quite a few folks watching this, and that's good. And
Yes.
anytime we get videos, we will forward them
Yes,
to
absolutely.
you guys,
Yes.
so you can review them and.
Yeah, and the other very important, if with the video, you can get the hull number, the registration number, the WS number, that would be very important, obviously, because if we're not there to witness it,
Right.
we could potentially use that video to issue citations. I'm not promising that
Right.
we will, but there is that possibility at any time that, well, we would issue a citation.
Yeah, and we're seeing during the week, usually it's during the week around 5 to 6:30 here.
Okay.
So that's when we're seeing that.
Okay,
so.
yeah, I can leave a note, and I'll talk to the chief before I leave today as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah.
No, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
Jim.
right.
Any other
Anything else?
questions for James?
Were you asking about how, whether or not it has to have ballast to be considered a wake boat, if it's performing in a wake boat style? Wasn't that part of your discussion before he sat down?
So the concern is that if a boat has tilted its motor down and is creating an artificial wake in that manner instead of having
It,
in bounds full
the
of
way,
water.
if I'm understanding the way the ordinance is written, it specifically has to be a boat designed for that. That is my understanding. I could be incorrect on my interpretation of the way I read the ordinance. But typically, even if you have the motor dropped all the way down, it's not gonna create more of a wave. What would end up creating more of a wave or a wake would be the speed of the boat, and then obviously the positioning of the boat in the water. So that's why those ballasts are really about the only way that you can create that large of a wave. Obviously, a boat up at higher speeds will obviously create, and they have, people out there on their wave boards, and obviously skiing as well, and those are not wake boats.
I think the term is called trim, right? So if you
Yes.
trim your motor, right?
Yeah, if you trim it up, you actually, in my experience, you have less power for the boat because it's too high. So it's almost it's more parallel to the water. So it's still driving the boat, but it's not at its intended maximum position, so that it would give the best performance for the speed of the boat.
We can certainly discuss this more, maybe one of our meetings too. I mean,
Yes, we can do that.
see if we can come up with some more answers for it. But yeah, thank you for
Okay.
all your work on it and keeping an eye on it, so.
Yes,
The
yeah.
more
and
eyes
again,
we have on it, the more
anytime
people.
anybody, whether they're on the lake as a resident or just a boater, that hull number is really about the only way that we could track them down without us not being there.
Mhm.
So that's very important for us to obtain that.
Yeah, thank you.
And video and the hull number. If you could do that, then we have something that we can work with, obviously.
All right,
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Okey-doke.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
all right. Hope that was helpful. Anything else for Laura?
No,
Okay,
nothing else unless anyone has questions.
all right. All right, let's move on to Jefferson County report. Meg?
And I do not actually have anything relevant to this committee today.
Okay, no report.
No report.
All right, thank
No
you for
report
serving.
needed.
Thank you for serving on the county board. Okay, we'll move into Lake Mayor's report. Lana Spencer.
Alrighty, busy couple of months. I won't go through all of this since we have more to discuss in this meeting, but obviously read everything. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me, but I'll highlight some of the cool things. So we received an extremely generous donation from the Kent Jacobson Brown Trust, $45,517. Both Jane and Kent Jacobson Brown were on the board before I was here, but what I've heard is their legacy was incredible, and even after they've passed, they're still finding ways to donate to the district. So we'll forever be thankful to them. So just wanted to highlight that in this meeting. Our treasurer changed hands. Thanks, Steve. You're doing a great job. Appreciate all your help. Welcome, Kim. We're happy to have you here. Thanks for running on our board. Our grants, we did schedule our public informational meeting with Stantec to discuss the inlet stream restoration. It'll be Tuesday, September 30th at 5 o'clock p.m. Would love all of you guys to come, especially if you have questions after this meeting. That's important for you guys to show up and ask those questions, right? This is our major project, so keep that in mind. Our AIS grant has had a lot going on these last couple of months. We did the entire point intercept survey, which is where we survey 700 plus points on the lake for aquatic plants. So we put a rake down, we pull it up, and we identify the density of the plants and identify them to species, and then that way that will be able to help us create our aquatic plant management plan, which is a necessity to apply for a weed harvesting permit. So all of these things kind of roll into each other. So that was completed. Big thanks to Colton at Jefferson County as well as Paul Skowinski at UW Extension. They both helped us. We found 3 new species this year in Lake
Nice.
Ripley. A couple of those Cara species that I mentioned last time, that's why I wanted Paul to come out. So we did find 1 new Cara species. We found a hybrid of a curly leaf pondweed and Potamogeton richardsonii. Can't think of its common name at the moment, sorry. But we think we've had a cross between those, which is pretty cool. And the third one, I can't remember what was the third new species, but they're pressed in my office if you want to come see them before I send them to the state botany lab. I don't know what that place is called officially. Also did the shoreland and shallows, first part of that survey. That's where we go around and we see each parcel and we grade it on, how it affects the lake. Does it have a good buffer? Does it have riprap? That kind of stuff. So the second part of that survey is the coarse woody habitat assessment survey. That'll be completed once the piers are out of the water so we can see all the coarse woody habitat. And those reports will all be written, created, reviewed, and officially online at the end of the year. I applied for 5 surface water grants this year. The pre-applications were due September 16th. Official applications are due in November. So one of them we're working on Stantec, which Sarah, our representative, our project manager for Stantec is here today. She'll be giving a presentation in a little bit. But they'll be helping me with one of our surface water grants for our inlet stream restoration project. The other ones are, projects that I want to do, banded killifish and things like that. Tony has finished his 200 hours of his Clean Boats, Clean Waters, so big thanks to Tony. He's always so great at the launch and spreads a lot of great informational education down there, so we're appreciative of him. I won't touch too much on the inlet stream restoration project as Sarah's here and she'll be giving us a better overview than I will in just a couple minutes. Laura gave a great update on the Enbridge, what's going on out there, SVE soil vapor extraction is happening like she said. We did get our water quality results back. There was a little snafu with the state lab. They sent me the wrong files initially for drinking water and not surface water, so I kind of had to pivot, and in the end, it all got done in the right way, but Laura and I did look at the results, and she sent me an informational, helpful email yesterday. Thank you for that. There were some hits north of Highway 18, and I need to look into them a little more, but I don't think it's from the oil spill. I think it's from...
Because it's north, right?
Correct. I think it's from some different environmental factor. So I'll be looking into those. I only got them late yesterday, so I will look into those with Laura as well as Caroline Rice at the DNR to dive into that and see if there's any information we can glean from those results. If you have any questions, please come to my office or call me. Banded killifish project is going really well. We've collected about 75 nearshore non-game fish, not species, fish. We've only collected 3 species, western banded killifish, black striped top minnow, and the third one is not a mud minnow, but it's something like that, sorry. Not on the top of my brain this morning, but that's going well. We've stocked them in the ponds in Sullivan, so they overwinter this year and reproduce, and we get a good brood to be able to put into the lake probably in 2027, because we'll get that grant for 26 where we can get all of our permits and make sure we have the right habitat and things like that. So hopefully 2027 we'll be stocking western banded killifish. Loop around the lake was done, easy enough. Land acquisition, lots of meetings. Jimmy was a rock star during all this. He did most of that legwork for our land acquisition. Thank you, Jimmy, appreciate your help there. He'll give a better update, but like we mentioned, we did get that 18-acre parcel on the inlet, which is great. And we also did get the Didion wetland as well, which Jimmy's gonna touch on too. I just want to point out, I've been noticing a lot of frog mortality on Highway 12 when it rains. It is really sad, devastating, truly. Hundreds, if not thousands of frogs are getting ran over. If you guys recognize it, there is a website online through the DNR where you can report these high mortality cases, and that helps the DOT, potentially slow down that stretch of road there or something. It's important to report these so the DNR knows, so potentially something could happen.
Can I comment on that?
Please.
Or should I wait?
No, go for it.
I might forget by the end. Down on Wolf by the pond there, and also on Deer Run Trail, I've noticed a lot of frog mortality. A few years ago, I was seeing a lot of frogs when it rained. I mean, you couldn't avoid them. You're on a 25-mile-an-hour. There was no way you could. But this summer, too, we've noticed quite a bit of the frog mortality. And I don't know if they're just younger frogs or that's the adult size. They're small.
Sure.
So I don't know if you're looking at a specific type of frog.
It's all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, it's not species specific. I saw a bullfrog out there. I saw a green frog. I saw thousands of gray tree frogs. It's all of them.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
it rains,
I
they
guess
just
I
come
didn't see
out.
any spring peepers. Yes, I did reach out to the folks at the DNR, and I asked that question, what is going on? Well, they're typically leaving their breeding grounds. They find that warm pavement, which they like, so, and then they're trying to hop across the road to get to Lake Ripley, or the other way to get to Red Cedar Lake. So breeding grounds are on both sides of Highway 12, and that's what they're doing. They're just attempting to cross and find their way to the next wetland.
I will note that after we got our new pavement last year by me, and I don't have water, I mean, the closest pond to my road is, you know, I don't know, 150 yards away. Huge amount of frog mortality. I mean, like just walking in 1 mile, I counted probably 50, 60 leopard frogs smashed. And all I can think of is it was the black pavement that
Yeah.
they were going to.
Yeah, they like that heat.
Even the, you know, it might be the color too attracts them, and then the heat, whatever. But you know, it was just tons of frogs, and they're still getting, even though the pavement isn't as black this year,
Yeah.
it's still there's a lot of frogs showing up. So I don't know if it's 100% the movement, or if it's that they're stalling on that kind of pavement.
Yeah, I'm happy to forward you the emails.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have, you know, I'm
No,
just
just
putting it
for-
as a data point there.
Yeah, they put some links in there that I think would be interesting to you guys. So if you'd like that, feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to send that to you. And definitely report it. Report it to this frog mortality. I linked it right here, so you could open my lake manager's report and click on the link, and it'll shoot you right to that DNR webpage where you can report it.
Okay.
Same with you, too, because I remember Jimmy
Yep.
mentioning to me that he was coming home along County Highway A.
Yeah, coming around Lake Ripley Inn is where I saw most of them, and literally, it could have been thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
sad.
mean, it was bizarre, but it was getting cold. It was when we had that cold stretch.
Mhm.
So my guess is the weather might have had something to do with it.
Yeah. Not to harp on, but if you see them, report it. Okay, I did participate in the podcast. I put it there in case anybody was interested in watching me on my podcast. Link it up, go watch it. And Dave Marshall and I are going to be presenting at the 2026 Lakes and Rivers Conference again. So if anybody is coming to that conference, come to my presentation. It'll be cool. We'll be talking about restoring western banded killifish in Lake Ripley,
Nice.
obviously. Next meeting, we will be discussing, I did get most of the 5-year burn contracts back. I'm trying to do that so I don't have to waste time and money each year requesting bids for a burn that we plan on doing every year for perpetuity. So we will be discussing that next meeting and agreeing to a bid there, so just keep that in mind. Water quality is going well. Our flow meter was fixed for free and is being sent back to us. Once I get that back, I'll send theirs back to them. We did do the perchlorate sampling. When those results come back and I've been able to analyze them, I will let you know. Laura's helping me on that, so thank you, Laura. You're always very helpful. Weed harvesting, things are going well there. To date, we've harvested 53.25 loads. I send their schedule out every Friday with things that they should be focusing on. Big thanks to the weed harvesting crew. I have had some folks email me and ask about the weeds, so you know, always good education to remind folks that aquatic plants are necessary for any lake ecosystem, but also we have to strike that balance between recreation and keeping our lake a lake. So, and we did have an accident occur with a weed harvester and another employee, just so you guys are aware. Will probably be some workman's comp stuff going on. If you have any questions, feel free to pop by my office and we can discuss that. And the Didion, or the, pardon me, it's the Preserve at Oakland development is going well. As far as I'm aware, there was only one time where I asked Mr. Didion to put a soil sock down when I noticed that they were extending the road and the company hadn't put one, and he was pretty quick to fix that issue. So he is pretty good at responding to any of my concerns, so I will say that.
Jeff and Justin from Strand Engineering, our town engineer, they did go out last week and inspect the whole subdivision, and they weren't finding any major issues with
Perfect.
erosion control. So and the pond is not really filling up at this point. I think mostly because we haven't had much rain and we don't have the impervious
Yeah.
areas with the houses. But for now, everything to them seemed in good shape.
Yeah.
But we'll keep on monitoring that.
And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you so much, Leanna. Any questions for Leanna? Anything else? All right, busy couple months, that's for sure. Thank you for all your work. Okay, let's move on to new business. Santec presentation, Sarah is here today.
Hello.
Would you like to
Hello,
start your
Sarah.
presentation?
Thank you for being here. If you guys can't see, feel free to move into the audience. Sarah is going to have her presentation here on the wall. Move as you need. I'm going to turn some lights down just so it's a little easier to see. And you can speak into that microphone right there. Right here? It didn't work great. No, not really. And I didn't feel like messing with it, to be honest.
That's fine.
Is that okay for everybody?
Yep.
All right. I'll just take you over here.
All right, well, hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Sarah Federis, like Leanna said, I'm the project manager, and I'm here on behalf of my team. We are, I will use names, and I should have put their pictures up here. We are Dendi, who's our limnologist. We are Erin Volkening, who's our modeling expert, and we are Heather Schwar, who's our stream restoration expert. And I will mention Josh as well, because he is a stream biologist that's been active through this whole process. So if you can make it to the public meeting next week, Erin and Heather will be there to present on a more technical basis than I may touch on today, but I'll do my best. So we've been working with Leanna and the management district on this phase 1 analysis, which is our discovery phase. So we're looking at all of the amazing data that Lake Ripley's been putting together to date, and then collecting additional data to help support our main objective, I think we can all agree on, is enhancing water quality in the watershed, specifically to reduce phosphorus inputs and sediment inputs. So 3 main aspects of our project this year were baseline data collection and evaluation of water quality data. We kind of switched up. We initially had thought most of the sediment was coming from stream bank erosion. After an initial site visit, we shifted toward looking at the larger watershed as a major input source. So the modeling was moved ahead of the stream survey. We still did both, but having the modeling ahead of the survey work helped us better understand what to look for when we were out on the ground collecting data. So one of the first conversations we had with Leanna and her team, Andrew and Dwight?
Yep.
Yeah. Was the water quality sampling, because this is critical to the model, it's critical to the stream bank solutions that we're going to look at. And added 2 sample locations upstream toward Highway 18, the sample locations 2 and 3, which I think have shifted since this map was created, just due to land ownership and things. And also just a representative sample in the wetland scrape that's on the preserve, just to evaluate whether that wetland is indeed a phosphorus source or if it's operating as it should be as a sink. And then, of course, our stream bank erosion survey. We came out late summer, and our team floated alongside Leanna and her team in kayaks and waders, and got real deep and dirty in the, and I'm sure the presentation next week will include a photograph of my colleague Heather head to toe in muck. It was, yes, there's certainly a lot of sediment out there. So almost 11,000 linear feet of stream were evaluated. So we looked at the left and right banks and evaluated the erodibility, the erosion potential and the erosion that's happened to date, using what's called the Banks model and the Beehive model. So essentially, we're looking to rate all of these banks for erodibility, and they're ranked from moderate to very high. The red, it's hard to see on there, but the red portions are the high erosion areas, and orange is high, and then down to moderate. So you can see that the majority of the erosion is happening in the higher portions of the watershed here, and actually in Preserve Central and downstream toward, we can't see all the way to Highway A, but there were limited erosion issues further downstream. Oh, and I will note also that based on the survey, approximately 211 tons of sediment are being released from those sediments from the banks of the stream annually.
210, you said?
211.
11
Yeah,
tons.
just from stream bank erosion, yeah.
Wow.
And is all of that going directly into the lake, or you haven't evaluated that, is some of it remaining in the stream or in the wetland?
We
further
don't know that yet. Certainly, at this point, there's not a ton of opportunity for the sediment to go, unless there's a major flood event, to flow laterally within the watershed and be retained. There are a lot of, a lot of it is being channeled downstream. But we haven't done the measurements. I mean, we have water quality data that shows, we have flow rates and we have water quality data that shows sediment moving downstream. We just haven't quantified that at this point.
We can visually see what's happening, as we get closer to the lake, right? But
Yeah.
the science has to prove it, but we're pretty sure what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. We also looked at land ownership because, of course, the feasibility of implementing any BMPs in the watershed will depend on cooperation with adjacent landowners in the watershed. So just to note, 17 tons of sediment are estimated to come from the lands that are publicly held, so the preserved property, and I believe that's it. And then 194 tons of sediment would be coming from stream that is located on private property. So I think it's like 93% or something of the stream corridor is on private property. So as I said, before we went out in the field, we ran a plat model. And the plat model used to be called Step L. And what it is an online tool developed by, well, it's hosted by DNR. It's a living, breathing organism, I will call it. And so what we did during phase 1 is set up the model, the primary inputs, and this can be refined into the future. So I just want you to think of it as something that can be used into the future to help define BMPs. The first step in running this model is to collect data. So data is available, land use data is available through the NLCD, National Land Cover Data Set, I believe it is, from USGS. And that tells us how water is moving through the landscape. If we have an impervious surface, a pavement, parking lot, driveway, water is running right off of that very quickly. So you are looking at high surface water flows in those areas. If you're looking at forest, you have trees and you have multiple layers of vegetation. Most likely, most of the water that's falling on that landscape is infiltrating and being used by the plants. So there's a scale there. So once we get the data, we have to go into our GIS database and look at topography and surface flows. And what Josh and Aaron worked together to delineate these sub-watersheds. So all of the pretty colors that you see here are actually sub-basins. So these are individual or smaller individual basins where water flows into the lake at a given point. So for example, if you look at the light purple sub-basin at the top, all of that land area is running directly into the Lake Ripley, probably at the Highway 18 intersection. So there's different points at which these sub-basins meet the stream, and that's what we're measuring water quality on. And that will give us, pre and post BMP indication of whether it's working, where the reductions are coming from. And that's how we modeled. So sub-basin delineation, I'll call it. So from there, I mentioned the land use database. The land uses were split into 4 categories, those being urban, so more impervious surfaces, cropland, pasture land, and forest. These can be refined further. I had a great conversation with Andrew about this yesterday. But this is the baseline that the plat model was developed to evaluate. And from there, we took all of the sub-basins names, which you can see on the left side of this table, and I apologize, it is very small. The acreage, and then the acres of land use within each. I'll go through this quickly. And then the pollutant load estimates for each sub-basin, we were able to, based on the data that was collected and the acreage of the sub-basin, we were able to determine the estimated, remember this is a model, so it's not 100% accurate, probably not even 80% accurate, but it's a guide. We're using this as a guide. So it'll give us an idea of, you know, which sub-basin to focus on to get the biggest bang for our efforts, right? So you have the watershed here, the phosphorus load that's estimated annually, and then the sediment load that's estimated annually. You can see that, you know, these are listed in no particular order. The numbers vary quite a bit. There's one outlier, the Ditch Corner East sub-basin is showing the highest amount of loading. It's also there's also a pretty big acreage there, so you have to be considering everything relatively. So based on this information, what we can do is plug different BMPs into the model. And I don't have this up on the screen here, but we did a little trial, I don't know if you read in the report, for one of the sub-basins within our watershed, just to show what the percent reduction of sediment and phosphorus could be if we implemented anything from conservation tillage down to controlled drainage and cover cropping, so different options, and that's in the report. And so what we come out of this with are recommended BMPs that would help minimize the amount of sediment and phosphorus that are being discharged into Lake Ripley. These are our top 5 recommendations that we would hope to implement in the watershed, the inlet watershed. Sediment traps and basins will help if in flood events. It will help with overbank flows, provide a little trap for flood flows for sediment to filter out before the water continues on downstream to Lake Ripley. This could also be used for capturing any channelized flows up on the uplands, so tile drain, any ditches that are non-navigable. They can be used in a variety of ways to capture sediment and prevent it from running downstream. Land conversion and retirement, this has already been done in your watershed. The sod farm at the top of the inlet watershed, it's already been converted. I'm sure that's benefiting. But additional projects like that will be helpful. Conservation tillage, working with the county and Land and Water. I understand that a lot of farmers are already implementing a lot of these practices, so we want to, well, I'll talk about next steps in a little bit. Floodplain vegetation management. One of the projects that's been top of mind for Leanna and I lately talking about is what we observed as we did our walkthrough were some areas along Lake Ripley where there's a canopy of mostly invasive species, box elder and common buckthorn. And in the spring, the understory in those areas, because the canopy is so dense, there's no vegetation in the understory. So all of the soil is vulnerable to running downstream. So during a spring flood event, it's resuspending and then running downstream. So that's definitely the #1 priority at this point, to get those trees will be removed, and then the stream banks will be revegetated with herbaceous vegetation with deep roots, native plants with deep roots that can hold the soil. And then, yeah.
I was just gonna ask if by removing the trees, though, does that end up making the water warmer?
Because the water's, well, potentially along the stream.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would that have any impact on any of the fish that might be moving up and down the stream?
That's a great question. I think there's a way to strategically place trees or maintain or keep trees along the stream in some places so that cover still does exist. But I am not a fisheries biologist, so I don't have a really good answer for you there.
Okay.
Herbaceous cover can also help to shade the stream, especially on these smaller tributaries, so we may still get the benefit just from our herbaceous plants that will be reintroduced. Great question, though. And then finally, stream bank stabilization. This is where we started in the conversation at the beginning. We wanted to stabilize the banks, prevent the banks from eroding, and prevent that sediment from running downstream. As you could see in the map from the Beehive and Bank surveys, we do still have some areas of high erosion in the upper watershed portions. So stream bank stabilization through, woody material, it could be herbaceous vegetation, it could be more structural components, riprap and things to help stabilize those banks. Removal or manipulation of large stormwater inputs, pipes, any channelized inputs. That's all really helpful in reducing that erosion. So, and of course, I just want to mention this, of course, we mentioned landowners and private property and site feasibility. And one of our next steps will be to start looking at the feasibility of implementing BMPs. So there are a lot of elements, and stakeholder engagement is an important part of that. So that'll be part of the next phase as well. Another thing to note, something that we uncovered, is that in the areas where we're seeing a lot of erosion and potential inputs higher in the watershed, it is part of a drainage district, so something to be aware of, that there are some extra steps to take to get permits to do work in that area. And then, so next steps, obviously continuing the water quality monitoring is really important. There's 2025 data that can be plugged into the model in the near future to help better refine project areas we want to focus and prioritize. Stakeholder engagement coming up next week on the 30th. The stream bank restoration project that I mentioned, removing woody materials and revegetating with native species. Refining the PLET model will be a helpful tool to identify BMPs moving forward into the future long term. And then, of course, developing concept plans for both structural and non-structural BMPs. So non-structural BMPs are restoration practices, things where you don't really need an excavator or a permit. Restoration projects, bank treatments, cover cropping, conservation tillage, green tillage, things like that, green cropping. And then the structural components being more heavily engineered sedimentation basins, sediment traps, offline basins, things like that. So next steps will be to hone in on available property and where we can make the biggest difference in the watershed through those projects. So. With that, there we go. I will open it up for any questions.
It's definitely very interesting. And this is something we've been waiting to do for an awful long time. So thank you for all your work, you and Leanna and everybody else who's worked on this. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have a really good meeting next week.
Yeah,
2
absolutely.
weeks. It's in
2
2
weeks?
weeks.
2
Yeah,
weeks?
sorry.
Yes, 2 weeks.
September
That's
30th.
right. September 30th. So
10
yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really, I read your report that Leanna had sent us. It was really thorough and really good. It was well written and, just great information, well presented. And yeah, thank you. It's really exciting that we're moving forward with this.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be part of this project.
We're excited.
Exciting. Great.
Yeah.
One
We
of
are.
the surface water grants I'm applying for is with Sarah and her team, and it's for conceptual design plans. We don't have anything shovel-ready, but there is a grant that the DNR offers where you can apply for, I think, $100,000 to start creating these conceptual plans. And that's what our next phase is the conceptual design of what BMP works best for us.
Will you be working with the private properties for the BMPs? Do you think that's something you'll be
we have about
approaching them?
5 of 7 landowners that are willing to work with us. 2 are not, and unfortunately, I shouldn't say are not. 2 just aren't as communicative, and those are some of the areas that have some of the highest stream bank erosion. So we're going to look into different tactics. Maybe a handwritten letter, maybe just knocking at their door. Stantec and I are going to, and us, the board, we're going to come up with some different alternatives instead of just sending, I think I've sent them 4 or 5 typed out letters saying,
Right.
Here's what we're doing, no cost to you, we're only going to be improving your land, but I think we need to find a different route.
are you working with Colton to talk,
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk to the, some of the other people in his shop? Do more work with like the farmers, et
Yes.
cetera, about, you know, placing some of the nutrient reduction areas?
Yeah, and Sam Peterson is the.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, they are involved, and actually, I need them to be a little more involved in this next step because they know who has a nutrient management plan, who has done conservation tilling, who does have these specific BMPs. So yes, we are definitely pulling them into the project a little more at this point. But Patricia and Colton have been involved the entire time. Colton joined us
She
for our
might know
surveys.
of also of some grants for them where it might be like a buffer strip, funding for buffer strips and things like that.
I'll reach out to them next week.
One of the things that they're doing, like with their trades with Watertown on phosphorus loading, is harvestable buffer strips. So they can actually put in a permanent thing that's harvestable, but it holds the banks better.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of those in Manitowoc County. That seems to be a really successful program.
Yeah, they've got a pollutant trading program between Jefferson County and the city of Watertown. And the first 10 acres, they've already seen just tremendous reduction of phosphorus internal.
Incredible.
So, yeah.
That's great.
And that was only 10 acres with like just grass strips and harvestable buffers.
Yeah, 10 acres is a big deal when you're talking about farmland.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Any other questions or comments for Sarah? John, would you like to ask a question? Go for it.
Are there any plans to, like, the straight sections of the stream that were man-made to revert it back to, you know, winding through the wetlands to help disperse the water? Or are there any plans for that?
Great question. We talked a lot about that internally
Okay.
at Stantec, and I think we've talked about it as well. We thought that was our low-hanging fruit, that would make a huge difference, you know? And after we did the surveys and looked closer at the banks, our stream biologists and engineers didn't think that would be the best bang for our buck, so to speak, because they are in pretty good shape, the banks are in good shape. I mean, when the water levels are low, I mean, the soil surrounding the inlet stream in Lake Ripley are muck. They're just naturally mucked. And so it looks really dark and erodible, and it is, but it is in most places holding a structure. And we just didn't think that, or the professional opinion, I can't say it's mine because I'm not a stream engineer, but their professional opinion was that there could be reductions. We would get larger reductions through other means.
Okay.
So no immediate plans, to answer your question.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, certainly from a habitat perspective, I mean, if we were doing a habitat project, remeandering the stream would be top of mind. That would be a bigger priority. But since this is a nutrient reduction project.
Yeah, every wilderness stream I've been on is not straight. It's, you know, it winds, you know, and, you know, it's that way for a purpose or reason, you know, it disperses the water. Okay.
Absolutely. And there are small things you can do, you know, log vanes and J-hooks and things that you can do to help the stream naturally take a new course in some of those areas. That might be a more cost-effective way to increase habitat and also start to help the stream move on its own, you know, and more passive restoration techniques might be more beneficial here.
Yeah, do you use like wing dams or things to, like they have in rivers to channel the water? Could you use something like that to channel it towards the wetlands, or is that something that you guys do also?
We do, and those J-hooks and the log vanes that I talk about are basically the natural version of a wing wall. So, yeah, absolutely.
Just a point of question, is that log jam, is that what you call that? Is that like a beaver analog?
Not necessarily. A beaver analog would be a little bit more
like a dam?
like a dam.
Okay.
And you have to be really careful about those when you start thinking about permits
Yeah.
and liability. But they are using a lot of those for large-scale restoration
Yeah.
on public lands.
I know they're
and
doing
it's
that up in
working.
Ashland County.
It's really cool.
So is the direction of the idea of several fixes that may be coming, the remandering of the stream, we all believe might help, but in this case, we're seeing stabilizing of the banks. So if we're talking about stabilizing these banks, that work will be done, that means we won't be remandering there. I mean, am I catching this right? Are we kind of moving the logic towards the bank stabilization first before remandering, or I just want to understand what you're thinking there.
Not necessarily. I think if, from a erodibility, sediment, and phosphorus loading perspective, bank stabilization is probably the most effective treatment when we talk about stream restoration. And so, that's why that's on our list of recommendations. Remeandering is not on our list of recommendations at this point. If it is a priority for the district, it would benefit habitat. And it could be done secondarily to a bank treatment, complementary.
Okay.
And, it could be another project that's more habitat focused.
But our goal isn't, at the moment, habitat focused. So what Sarah's saying is they've looked into remeandering the stream, and it wouldn't significantly reduce nutrients and sediments. So we need to focus on other best management practices that would significantly reduce. Remeandering isn't, a fix-all problem, or solution, rather.
So I guess, I get it all, but you're going to have to explain why, and then when we have our meeting in a couple weeks, I'm sure this is going to come up.
Yes.
If we don't take the straightest parts where the water is probably going to rush the fastest and try to slow it down in those areas by remandering, I guess you call it,
Yeah.
then how does that help? I mean, why would we not focus on remandering?
In the studies and the observations that we made in the field, remeandering would slow the flow, but we first would need to fix the problem upstream. And a lot of the straight ditch areas are in that upstream area where they've been manipulated over years and years. Historically, they weren't streams. They were probably
Drainage,
wetlands,
yeah.
graded channels that filtered into maybe what is a stream on Preserve Central, say that's where it started. We don't know where originally it was. And it was ditched over the years. And what our research found is that prioritizing BMPs in the upper portion of the watershed on land would make a much bigger impact to phosphorus and sediment discharge downstream. Remeandering would make a difference, but only a small difference compared to what else could be done in the watershed, and that's why it's not top of our list for recommendations. It's certainly a solution and something that could be done to make a small impact. We were just trying to look at where the largest impacts would be. So it would be lower on the list.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
One of the things along with remeandering that we used to talk about was removing the spoils where what is creek and was ditch.
Sure.
The spoils were put so that they form a barrier between that straight ditched creek and the wetlands on our side and the wetlands on the Oakland Conservation side. Is that been part of the conversation too?
Certainly, and removing the spoils to create more of a floodplain bench and a hydraulic connectivity to adjacent wetlands is one of the stream bank stabilization practices that I would put on the list.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. But again, our team thought it was most important to focus on upstream.
Yeah. And it makes sense to do that first
Yes.
before you spend a lot of time down in the lower. Yeah, I get that too.
So it's a prioritization exercise. But it's all beneficial. All of these projects are beneficial. And that's where the feasibility analysis and the alternatives analysis comes in, because we've got project constraints throughout the watershed that we have to look at and evaluate. And access, cost, feasibility, soils, there are a lot of components. So that'll be part of our next step.
So when you were talking about stream bank stabilization, you talked a little bit about revegetation, but are you also looking at riprap?
We haven't talked about riprap.
I hope not.
No?
That's not, definitely not on our list. And there aren't any areas of stream bank erosion that are so bad that would warrant the need for that. I mean, the flows coming from upstream aren't.
I see so many examples of riprap on streams where it's actually impeding natural water movement that, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, there are some discharge pipes coming into the stream where you can see erosion happening along the banks, where maybe riprap might help diffuse the water a little bit. But I think the priority would be to back that pipe up and create a primary settling location, wetland, whatever, sediment basin, prior to discharging into the stream. So if you're going to invest in any sort of hard infrastructure along the stream, we at Stantec are always looking at nature-based solutions. So let's back that pipe up. Let's take it away from the stream. Let's find another way for that water to get there eventually. No, good question.
Everything else, John?
Yeah, well, the discussion, the meandering of the stream, are we missing an opportunity to improve the habitat in the preserve by not doing that? If we ran that water through all the wetland area down there, wouldn't that improve the habitat for waterfowl and, everything else?
Certainly, there's a habitat benefit there.
Yeah, but, if the focus is just on reducing the amount of suspended solids, then, I don't understand why your recommendations are what they are, but I just wonder if we're not missing an opportunity, to benefit the wildlife.
Yes and no. Our goal right now is nutrient reduction and total suspended solids
Right.
reduction.
Right.
That will affect our lake quicker than anything else. We have great habitat out at the preserve currently. There are some good spots. So missing that habitat opportunity, yes and no. There's going to be opportunities in the future to improve that habitat, guaranteed. What we need to focus on is reducing those nutrients and sediments.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, you see the issue. I know you do. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
So habitat, yes, is important, but not as important as reducing the nutrients and sediments. First and foremost, you got to stop that. Because if we don't and we remeander the stream, we're just going to send all those nutrients and sediments into the nice wetland that we have currently, right? And then that'll become a source, not a sink, and then we'll have to try to fix that wetland. Whereas first we need to fix things upstream and not continue wrecking things downstream.
Okay, so the phosphorus would have a negative impact on the wetlands that are currently there?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But great questions. This
Yeah,
is
thank you.
exactly what we want from you guys, is to ask these questions to
Yeah, I just
Sarah
wanna
and I.
take a longer view.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
It's a big project. And it's changed so
Opportunity.
many times, and yeah.
We've spent 200 years essentially destroying everything out there. It takes a little effort
Totally.
to fix it.
Totally.
You still have a really unique and special resource here, and it's
Absolutely.
worth investing in, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to see you soon, I hope.
Yeah,
Couple
actually,
weeks.
I will not be able to make it.
Okay.
Is it all right if I unhook?
Of course.
In a few weeks, because I will be out of the country, but Heather and Aaron will be here.
Okay.
And they will be able to talk in great detail about stream restoration and the model, if anybody's interested in talking
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, it would be a good opportunity to ask a lot more questions like this.
Absolutely, yeah, it'll be a great format for that.
Good.
And All right.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you all.
Thank
for
you
having
very
me.
much.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, that
You're gonna
concludes
miss
that.
your football.
What's that?
You're gonna miss your football game.
Well, that's part of the deal, right? Okay, let's move to old business. I'll give an update on the land purchase. So think back in, what was it, June or July, this board gave us permission to move forward on some properties that were very important to the Lake District, something we were looking at. One parcel came available, was an 18-acre parcel over by Highway A and off of Lake Ripley Road. We were able to close on that property on 8/29, so congratulations to that for the district and the board and everyone giving us permission to do so. We paid $305,000 for that piece. That piece of property will be very valuable for the Lake District moving forward. The inlet stream runs right along that portion of the property, and most of that is wetlands, and we will be able to use that as part of our, we believe, as part of our restoration projects moving forward. So that's the update on that. Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to do that. We were able to pay cash for that property because of the CDs and the other things that we were able to use, the donations and everything else that we received over time to pay for that property. And we also utilized the loan we had taken out years ago for a different parcel that we had planned on purchasing. So all that money got used in the way it was supposed to be used, and we will be looking at ways to start to work on that property and putting plans together to move forward. So thank you, board, for that, and everyone else who helped with it. Any questions there?
There was another, there was two pieces there, so the other piece is still something that could be built on by other people, right?
There is an additional property there that we're still currently pursuing.
Okay.
So if I ever have, if we have more updates on that, we certainly will bring that to the board.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my question too, Jimmy. What was happening with the second piece?
Yep, we're still pursuing it. We're in negotiations, and if there's any other things that we can bring forward, we certainly will as soon as I can.
Okay.
So, okay. Any other questions on that? And then we also acquired the property from the Oakland Preserve. That's what it's called, Oakland Preserve?
The
Preserve at Oakland.
Hills.
So that was part of the subdivision and phase one that they started here across the street. So there was 8.7 acres that were donated to the Lake District. It's in a 3-phase part, so there'll be 2 other portions if those phases continue that will also be donated to the Lake District as that project keeps moving forward. So we're not exactly sure how we're going to utilize that property yet, but it is wetland, and we know we will preserve it and also take a look at it, include it in our plan as we start to move forward. So another piece of good news there. So a couple major updates on land acquisition. So.
For either one of those, is there anything that the Lake District needs to do fast with that? Everything from signage to, when it comes to people not just taking advantage of those lands or whatever, following various rules. Yeah. Are there going to be some costs and activities that have to be done in those areas?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I've been thinking about that a little bit. I don't know for sure. Obviously, the board will have to look at this and what will be our priorities and how to move forward, right? I thought about possibly putting a committee together to start identifying, what may be the first steps on any of these new parcels that we're purchasing. A sign that has our name on it, starting with that maybe, and other things, right? So we have to start creating plans to move forward. So I don't have any ideas yet, but we'll probably be working on that in the next few months, right? As we start to move forward. And then also it has to be budgeted, right? So things will have to start to be budgeted as we move forward. So. Any other questions on that? Okay. I'll move on to legal firm updates. So Adam Daslau, who was our attorney for Axley, has moved on and is no longer practicing law. He's working for the court systems in Janesville, and his goal, he told me, was to become a judge at some point in Rock County. So good luck to Adam. He did a great job working with us on this land acquisition and both of these land acquisitions and all the other projects that we had him working on. So he's been very responsive, and we want to thank him for all that work he's done. We are still retaining Axley as our law service, and I have met with our new lawyer, Chris Nelson, several times, and he's also working with us on several projects. So just wanted to update the board on that. We still retain Axley Law Service, and we just have a new representative. And that's all I have there. Any questions there? Okay, are there any announcements today? Any announcements? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Meg wants out.
Who seconded? Somebody seconded? I didn't hear who
Kim did.
seconded.
Yeah.
Kim did.
Kim did, okay. Thanks, Kim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, great meeting, guys. Thank you for coming.